Hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today is going to be a Hunter x Hunter 2011 discussion video on the Chimera Ant arc. Now, it's been a couple hours since I have seen the recent episode of Hunter x Hunter, and I broke down. I was sad. I still feel sad from the events that happened in that episode. And so I felt like sitting down and doing this discussion video, what I feel most likely is going to happen from this point onward, what has transpired in this recent episode, and my thoughts on Meruem as a character and the Chimera arc in general. And so hopefully you all will enjoy this type of video. So anyways, let's talk about Meruem, the recent highlight in this latest episode of Hunter x Hunter, and probably one of the saddest scenes I have seen in quite a long time when it comes to anime. And it by far is one of the saddest scenes when it comes to shonen in general. I've seen a lot of shonen, but this scene alone, the way it was built up to this point, Meruem, the way he died as a character was just so touching. I mean, it is so sad getting to see how he could never win a game against Komugi. In the very end, he could never win. And at the same time, it's a tragedy. The ending of this arc is a tragedy, and it shows true love. That is the main thing the Chimera Ant arc's ending shows us. It shows you the love between this king, this evil king, Meruem, that turns into this lovable being, more human than humanity itself. But at the same time, you have Komugi, this girl that is blind and cannot see the world, loves the supreme leader, Meruem-sama. And the entire ending, it really just finally puts that cherry on top of this arc. I mean, after all this build-up, after all the human emotions we have seen for the course of this series of how I've talked about the strive between good and evil and how it reflects it, and you can never see which side is really evil or good, I feel like this entire arc has really demonstrated that. But there's another thing this arc really shows. It shows, for one thing, villains in Hunter x Hunter are more than they appear. Just because they start off evil doesn't mean they will be a good guy in the very end. This might be true for Hisoka. Now, as we all know, Hisoka wants to kill Gon because, he wants Gon to mature into the right person for he can fight and kill. But I mean, the way we've seen Hisoka develop and the way we've seen his character and how he's even helped Gon in Greed Island, it's possible eventually Togashi might write an entire scene to where Hisoka will eventually turn to the good side. I don't know how anyone would really feel about that scene, but I have faith in Togashi. If he was to do that with Hisoka's character, I would feel fine with it because he knows how to write a good character, let alone he knows how to write a good villain. Now, here's the big question of this entire discussion, one thing I want to bring up. Is Meruem at the end of this arc, at the very end, is he top 10 villain material? Is he top 10 villains that has been in the anime industry of all time? I mean, that's the big question. I've seen so many different villains, and there's so many different villains that really just get you pissed at them, angry, mad, sad. Some villains you come to love and hate at the same time. But Meruem is a character that was progressed, as I've said many times, and probably a bunch of other people have said, progressed from such an evil being that would kill his own mother, and turned into something that would feel and care for a human life. At the very end of this arc, he dies in the arms of a human being. A human being. And then it's even sadder when this human being wants to die with Meruem. It's unbelievable the stepping stones and character development Togashi wrote for Meruem as a character, and that's the biggest thing about this entire arc. And I've heard a couple of people say in the comments below in a couple of my reviews, saying that Meruem technically, essentially, is probably the main character of this arc. I mean, if we think about it, majority of this arc has been focused on Meruem, and we've really seen him develop as a character. So if you look at this arc, you would probably say that most likely this arc's main character was Meruem. He may have been the main villain, but he was also the main protagonist of this arc. Because, I mean, that's what it really showcases at the very end, and nobody can deny the feelings they felt when they saw him die. And the animation and music just made it even sadder. And that's something I want to bring up. A lot of people have told me that this scene was very sad in the manga. I have personally not read the manga, but people have said that this scene in the anime was 10 times sadder than the manga. It's not just because of the animation and music that probably made it sadder, it's probably because of the way Madhouse is handling such a series. I mean, seriously, we all can agree Togashi in the past has terrible artwork, he's bad at drawing. He knows how to make the proper dialogue and proper progression of a series so that really you can just look past the art style. Now, I've heard some good things in the recent chapters from people telling me bits and pieces saying that the artwork is just downright freaking insane, but the main point is how Madhouse is able to adapt you know, something that may not have the best art style in a manga and turn it into something like this, and they still keep the integrity of the writer Togashi in this series without butchering anything, and at the same time they're able to add in more than it already had and make it even better. It's something that not a lot of anime companies can really do. Madhouse, even though they're handling Hunter x Hunter 2011, they still have their faults. I'm not saying that they're the best studio of all time, but the way they have handled Hunter x Hunter is something I wish a lot of other anime would deal with, because it really shows that Madhouse cares about this series. It really does. They're willing to keep the writer's vision on this series intact. And Togashi, I feel like the reason why he really wanted to start writing again was because he probably saw how epic this series was in anime form, and he probably wanted to see more of it. You know, more of the anime, because he realized since the anime was getting so closer to the manga, he would need to write more for the anime to continue on. So I feel like most likely the reason why Togashi decided to continue writing, more of the main things, I'm not saying it was the main reason he started writing again, but it was probably one of the main reasons is because in the 2-year hiatus he was in, he probably watched this arc and just realized how much better this arc looked in anime form than even in his manga. He probably never envisioned that this anime would look this good, and so I feel like that's what drove Togashi to start writing again and what made him want to improve his art. And so, I don't know, this is my theory on the entire matter of Togashi coming back recently, but no matter what, this arc of Hunter x Hunter has to be one of the best shonen arcs I have ever seen. It's really up there in quality. I mean, the quality of this arc, I really cannot compare it with other arcs I've seen in all sorts of different shows. I mean, you could try to compare it with One Piece and stuff, but you really can't. The way this arc gives off the vibe is so realistic, and at the same time, you know it's an anime, but you just are drawn to it. How sad it is, how emotional it is, how intense it is. I mean, there's so many different episodes in this arc, not just episode 126, episode 131, or episode 135 that make this arc amazing. It's just not those 3 episodes that make this entire arc just so breathtaking. What makes this arc so good is because of how Togashi designed this arc and wrapping it around all these individual characters, all these side characters, and just completely developing them. I mean, even unimportant characters like Welfie in last episode, he had a major role in this entire arc. So, one character you would never think would play a major role, but he did. I mean, there's so many other characters. Like, there's Beezif at the end of this arc. We don't know exactly what happened to him, what role he will play later on in this future of this series. And so there's a lot of questions still left unanswered in this arc. I mean, what happened to that, like, little girl that looked human that came out of Mariam's mother? I mean, we don't exactly know what happened to her. I mean, we don't know how she's doing at this moment. So there most likely could be an entire arc focused around her. And so, overall, I feel like Togashi, at the same time, even though he wrote this arc in a good masterpiece, he set up a lot of stepping stones for future upcoming arcs in his series, because, I mean, there's a lot of different things that are popped up we still have yet to know about. And so, overall, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't do this a lot, but this is by far one of the best arcs and probably one of the best shonen I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm not trying to fanboy over it, and I will admit I have fanboyed on Hunter x Hunter, but nobody can deny the level of writing that was put in to this arc, or this anime in general, and the development. And that is what I think sets Hunter x Hunter 2011 apart from the rest. So anyways, everybody, this is going to be the end, my final conclusion to the Hunter x Hunter 2011 Chimera Ant arc. Hopefully you enjoyed this review discussion video. I love all of you so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.